Yeah, welcome back to another episode of the Format Podcast. And today I got a very special guest with me. If you watch this show, you know that not only do I love football and basketball, but I'm also a big fan of boxing. So joining me today is YouTube boxing, former middleweight boxer and YouTube viral boxing content creator, Marko of Marko Boxing. What's good, Marko?
What's up? Instagram too.
All right,
Instagram
no doubt.
happens to have my most views, and they don't pay shit. But anyway, what's going on?
I hear you, man. So good to have you on the show, man. I really appreciate you being here.
You having me on.
No doubt. So for all you who love boxing, we're gonna get into some topics here, and Marko's gonna give us his thoughts on it. And you know, as somebody who did it, he's gonna lend us his expertise. But before we get to that, you know what time it is. If you're here on YouTube and you haven't already, please make sure you go ahead, click that like, that subscribe, that notification bell. Make sure you're kept up to date whenever we drop new content on the channel. If you want the audio only version of the podcast, open up your audio podcast platform, hit the search bar, type in The Format Podcast, and we should come right up. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you give us that like, that 5-star review, and drop a comment. All that stuff helps us rise in the algorithm, helps us find more sports fans, helps more sports fans find us. And finally, make sure you write it down, put it in your phone, set an alarm, do whatever you got to do to remember. Saturday nights at 7 p.m. we are live here on the Format Podcast, and we'll give you the opportunity to call in, talk to us, get at me. I love it. I can't. All right. So let's go ahead and let's get to some good boxing talk with Marko. So
man,
Marko,
if I had your voice, I'd be on ESPN.
I appreciate that, man.
I had that, like, you got that announcer voice.
I try.
Go ahead. No, man, it matters. Go ahead.
No doubt. So first, what I wanted to get to, and obviously we had the big fight last week. I guess the biggest fight of last week was Canelo Alvarez and Edgar Berlanga. So I wanted to know first what you thought about that matchup, and then we'll kind of get into some of the other ancillary topics around that.
I mean, it was Berlanga did better than we thought, but he was damn near 200 pounds. So you literally, the reason why Canelo didn't stop him and couldn't stop him was there was a huge weight and size discrepancy. So I don't give Berlanga as much credit for lasting as I would have if he was the same weight. You know what I'm saying? It was a pretty big, look, he made the weight by the rules, and he did all that, but still, Berlanga's just a way bigger dude. He's 4 or 5 inches taller, 30 pounds heavier. Like, come on. Let's be honest, nobody really wanted to see that fight to begin with.
No, and we're gonna get to here on YouTube, and you haven't already, please make sure you. My fault. Yeah, that's definitely not the fight that we were all looking forward to, and we'll get to that momentarily. But my biggest takeaway from that fight, I thought, was just that Berlanga's young, he's talented, but the step up in class was so large, he wasn't prepared. Like, a lot of times you see fighters incrementally step up in class before they get to fight a world class guy, and he took just a huge jump, and he wasn't really ready for that. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. He didn't. I'm not saying he might not get there, but he's not there yet. You need to pay your dues. You got to punch in, come to work every day, punch in before you get that promotion.
No, I definitely agree. So let me ask you this, because we saw Berlanga being one of the hot prospects a few years ago, opening up his pro career 16-0 with 16 first-round knockouts. Was he really showing that he's got the capability to be special, or was that more that he was just, a lot of his opponents were just terribly overmatched? Because there's not really any real names on his resume. Kind of, what did you see in that early run?
That's still extremely impressive. People don't realize, like, how hard it is to knock people out consistently, let alone in the first round. That's why all the people used to criticize Wilder. You know what I mean? Look, Wilder only has a right hand. He's wild. He's, and then he says crazy shit, and, he didn't handle his losses well, whatever. But you can't take away the fact that man knocked out 43 out of 42 of his fights. And the one person he didn't knock out, he rematched him and knocked him out. So it's extremely impressive. So knocking out 16 people in the first round is super impressive. I don't care, and I never call fighters bums or cab drivers, but let's say it is a Uber driver. Like, it's still hard to knock people out. So I give him props.
Okay. So as you mentioned, Berlanga, and we'll get back to Canelo in a minute. Do you have any idea, based on what you've seen and he was around your weight class? You said you fought super middle in the amateurs and you fought middleweight as a professional. What do you see from him in terms of the possibilities for his future? I don't really see that 168-pound division because Canelo, a couple of years, he's going to be done, right? I don't really see that division as being too crazy right now in terms of really elite up-and-comers. What do you see in terms of Berlanga's future?
I have no idea. You should fight Macumbi. That's what you should fight. That'd be fun.
Yeah, action fight.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think Berlanga. I don't see, and I'm not shitting on him, but I don't see anything. I don't see excellence in him yet. You know, he's not. Yes, he's decent, but he's not the hardest puncher. He's not the fastest fighter. He's not the most flashy. Not the best defense. Nothing really stands out to me that's going to make me think he's going to be a top 68-pounder. But at the same time, he doesn't look bad. I mean, he looks good. So it's so hard to tell. But he doesn't excite me as a fighter. There's nothing he really does that's exciting.
What about maybe Jaime Munguia? That might be a good matchup.
Jaime's way too experienced for Berlanga.
Okay.
I think. But yeah, it'll be good. I mean, because they're both similar. They both don't have that much power. They're both very kind of robotic. They're both kind of predictable. Might be a boring. Maybe not boring. They might slug it out. It might not be bad.
Yeah, I would think that would be an action fight. Both of those guys like to. Well, I was about to say both of those guys like to press the action. We know Munguia does, but Berlanga is kind of calmed down with that a little bit as he's kind of stepped up his level of competition. He's not as aggressive as he was previously. So I don't know. I guess we'll see what we see going forward. All right, back to Canelo. So. We know Canelo's great. I have some issues with maybe the way that he's handled his career. And you know, as we watch some of the highlights here with him and Berlanga. But my thing is, what's next for Canelo? Obviously, Terrence Crawford has made it clear that he wants a legacy-defining fight. He wants to come up to 168 and fight Canelo. I don't advise that at all, especially based on what we saw with him at 154, realizing his power probably won't carry that far. Dimitri Bivol, who we know has the big fight in a few weeks against Artur Beterbiev. I can't wait for that one. Canelo may want the rematch of that. I don't think he would want Beterbiev if Beterbiev won that fight. I don't think Canelo wants any part of that. He has made it clear, for whatever reason, that he's not going to fight David Benavidez. I don't know why or what that's about. I don't like it at all. So I guess my question to you would be, what do you think is the best thing up next for Canelo, or should he just step away? Like, what do you think?
I mean, obviously it's Benavidez, but that's not going to happen. I don't think he's going to fight Crawford either. I don't think he wants to. I don't know, man. There's really not much left. That's why we're all so annoyed at him, ducking Benavidez, because it's not like people say, well, Sugar Ray Leonard ducked Aaron Pryor. People say that, right? I don't know if you go that far back.
Yeah, I've heard that, yeah.
Okay. And he might have, but he also fought Hagler, Hearns, Duran, right? So Canelo doesn't have Hagler, Hearns, or Duran's right now to keep him busy,
right?
To justify not fighting Benavidez. So that's what makes it even worse.
Yeah, that's tough. So, do you think that he goes for that rematch against Bivol if Bivol comes out on top against Beterbiev?
No. I think he realized that 75 is not his weight class.
So let me ask you this. As you mentioned, 75 is not his weight class. He seems very comfortable at 168. How difficult is it to carry and fight with just 7 more pounds? To the average person, 7 pounds doesn't seem like that much. Obviously, to a fighter, it's a big deal. How difficult is it to go from just one weight class to another?
7 pounds is not a big deal to a fighter either. It's
Okay.
You have to look at the bigger picture. He's Canelo, and he's just said this himself recently, and I've always said this. He's really naturally about 160. So he's already 8 pounds up.
Okay.
So you're not asking him to go up 7 pounds. You're, in essence, asking him to go up 15, 20 pounds. That's the problem. So 75 is a good 15 pounds over what his natural weight is.
Okay.
So that's why.
The reason I say that also is because we saw him go up and fight Sergey Kovalev, right, at 175,
Yeah.
and that's not Crusher Kovalev. He caught him right at the end. I don't think he would have beat Crusher Kovalev, but he did beat Sergey Kovalev, and he knocked him out. So I'm like, okay,
that's
clearly your power carried with. Say again.
That's what gassed Canelo up. Like, oh, look what I just did. And then when he went in front of somebody who was a live dog, you saw you saw what happened. So
yes, big difference.
You know, he might pick and choose. He might fight a specific 75-pounder. I know he's not fighting BvBvF. I'll tell you that.
No, he wants no part of that. BvBvF is a wrecking machine.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. I'd like to see it though. I'm a fan of BvBvF. I think he'd starch Canelo, but that's a different story. Although Canelo does have one of the toughest chins we've ever seen in boxing, I gotta respect that.
Yeah, but tough chin is one thing, but when you start going up fighting guys way bigger, that doesn't matter.
Fair enough. So here's the thing, right? One of the things I've been consistent in my criticism of Canelo, I didn't like the fact that he left the zone because they wanted him to fight Benavidez, and he was like, I'm not doing that. So he went to a different promoter. And to me personally, I don't like guys who, and we'll talk about Floyd shortly here, I don't like guys who manipulate their situation, right? I see boxing as one of the ultimate warrior gladiator sports. And I get it. It's also prize fighting. So there's a method to the madness in terms of being a dangerous sport that you're doing and trying to maximize your earning while maintaining your health. But it's a warrior sport. And I feel like to do that at the highest level, you got to have something of the warrior mentality. And Canelo, to me, I don't like the way he picks and chooses. Like, I don't think he was going to fight Triple G the first time if Triple G didn't get in the ring and really call him out before the first fight. And then, okay, they fight the second one, the second one's the one I thought should have been the draw. I thought he should have lost the first one. And then he makes him wait 4 years, to fight the rubber match, waits for him to get older, Floyd Mayweather model to the T, waits for him to get older and makes him come up to 168 when Triple G fought at 160 his entire career. Like, I don't like all those different machinations that guys do to try and control every bit of the situation and put it in their advantage. I'm like, you're a fighter, try to get in there and fight and see who's the better man. What are your thoughts on my stance about that? Because I know that there's also a business side to it.
First of all, that's an amazing machinations. I've never even heard that word before. That is impressive. I learned a new word. I'm able to deduce what it means in the context of the sentence.
Right.
So thank you. But so wait, so what do I think about what part exactly?
Just kind of guys who, for instance, we're talking about Canelo right here, who manipulate their situation and utilize that to how do I say it? Basically, kind of control everything. Like you mentioned Sugar Ray earlier, right? Sugar Ray, okay, we can say maybe he ducked Aaron Pryor, but he pretty much fought everybody else, right? Mm-hmm. Back then, guys they were lining them up and they were fighting the fights. It wasn't all this, well, I'm not going to fight this guy or I'm going to fight this guy 5 years from now, or rehydration clause, or you got to fight him at this weight or that way. You know what I'm saying? All these moves guys are making to manipulate the situation. So I wanted your thoughts on that, because I know also as a fighter, there is a business component to it as well.
I mean, I don't know. The problem is that there's no set of ironclad rules in boxing. That's the problem. That's why it's a free for all. It's Lord of the Flies. They can do what they want in terms of negotiations, contracts. You could put whatever you want. You could put, one guy has to fight butt naked in the contract. You could literally do it. There's no rules. Right. So that's the problem. So, I don't like it, but unless you get one league, one specific organization like an NBA, NFL, whatever, that's how it is, Yeah, because every guy now, I think Floyd Mayweather is at fault for all this, really.
I do too. Yeah.
Every guy now is doing everything they can to to poke their chest out and show that they're the A side, and I hate that word, and that they want to get every possible advantage that they can.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So with that, like we heard, Turkey Aleski is attempting to start, like the Saudi boxing league. And from what I've heard and read, his goal, I guess, is to buy out as many of the promoters as possible and get all the fighters under one umbrella. So there's no more excuse for fighters not fighting this guy or that guy because promotional differences, etc., and just really make it the best sport possible for the fighters and for the fans. What do you think of something like that? You think that would be good for the sport?
I would love that. That'd be the best thing that could happen, but it's not going to happen. He's not going to buy, and he'd also, not only does he have to buy out the promoters, but he has to buy out the sanctioning bodies, because I still think all these dudes hold weight on the belts. So he comes with his Riyadh belt. I don't know if they'll give a shit.
Right.
And the promoters, no, you're not gonna. Maybe if it was a lot of money, but no, somebody like Oscar De La Hoya, I'm assuming he didn't piss his money away. He's not doing this for the money. He's doing it because he loves doing it. So why would he walk away? He's rich as hell. Turkey could offer him 500 million. He'd still be like, I'm already rich. Like, when you're that rich, 500 million is not going to do that much more for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it'll take away his livelihood. He doesn't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I don't see it happening, but I think it would be great. Put them under one umbrella, get one body of rules, make bad refs, bad judging, make them culpable, make them, hold them accountable, give them possibly a pension, health insurance, all that stuff, but no.
Right. That would be too easy to make too much sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. So we mentioned Floyd Mayweather in terms of what I like to call the Floyd Mayweather effect on boxing, the whole business of the A side, and again, more so the business aspect of it, right? And I get it. A boxer, pretty much any professional athlete, your career is short in general. Most guys don't, do 20 years, Tom Brady, LeBron James. That's highly unusual in professional sports. So I totally get it. And then especially in a sport like boxing, which is so inherently dangerous, you want to maximize your earning potential. I get it. But when you aren't giving the sport and the fans what they want in a timely fashion, I truly believe that hurts the sport. For instance, I want to look at a situation with Floyd like Manny, right? Manny Pacquiao. That fight probably should have happened about 5 years earlier when Manny was at his peak. And a lot of people say maybe Floyd still beats him. I don't believe that, but whole different story. So you got a fight like that. And what was it? I think, Floyd pushed that out because I think he said he offered Manny $40 million for that fight. He says, I'll give you $40 million. I'll give you $20 million now, $20 million after the fight, when he knew what type of money that would generate. And he also knew Bob Arum was going to be like, hell no, we're not taking that. So he gives him a lowball offer so he can say, hey, I tried to offer him the fight. He didn't want to take it, right? So all this other stuff. Like, when you see moves like that, does it do anything for you in terms of dinging a guy's legacy for you? Or do you look at strictly within the ropes what takes place?
Wait, what part would hurt his legacy? I don't understand.
Like manipulating it, right? Like not fighting Manny at, peak prime Manny.
Oh.
So as to get the best competition.
I actually think Floyd would have beat him easier if they fought earlier.
Really?
That was Floyd, whose hands weren't hurt, who was just watch the Arturo Gotti fight.
Yeah, I saw that when it happened. I remember. I'm gonna go back and watch it
That's
again.
the kind of Floyd Manny would have got. That would have been a problem. No, it doesn't hurt his legacy. Floyd fought everybody, literally, and beat everybody except, I think, Jose Luis Castillo in the first fight. I thought he lost that fight, but whatever. He rematched him, beat him. Floyd fought everybody. So no, I don't think it hurts his legacy. It's just giving us a shit show now because people idolized Floyd and look up to him, and now they're all moving like him.
All right, so Floyd Mayweather Jr., he calls himself the best ever, right? Do you think he's the best ever?
No.
Do you think he's the best ever at his weight class? Maybe 147, 140.
It's in the argument. I don't know. I think Floyd, Sugar Ray Leonard, young Sugar Ray Robinson, Aaron Pryor, Pernell Whitaker, and I'm going to throw this one in there because a lot of people don't. Maybe even a young Oscar De La Hoya, because De La Hoya came this close to beating Floyd. People forget.
Yeah, and that was an old Oscar too.
That was an older Oscar, right?
Yeah.
So possibly Oscar, but prior, Purnell probably would have beaten Floyd. But I don't know for sure. Floyd was that good where he could have beaten all those guys. He's in the conversation.
Okay, so it's funny that you say that because that's kind of where I was going next. You mentioned earlier the four kings, and that's Hagler, Hearns, Duran, and Sugar Ray. And well, I don't think Hagler ever fought at 140 or 147, but
no,
let's say the other three. So we'll exclude Hagler. I think the other three of the four kings, I think they all beat Floyd. I think Sugar Ray he's the guy who had hand and foot speed to easily match Floyd and probably was faster than him, but still had better knockout power. I think Tommy Hearns, I don't think there's any way Floyd could stand up to Tommy Hearns' power. And I think Duran was just such a machine. His ability to just, keep pressing a fight, for 12 rounds. I don't know if Floyd could have dealt with that. So you think Floyd had a chance against any of those three? I thought I heard you say that. I know you said Sugar Ray, you think he could have beat him?
I'm starting to think you don't like Floyd very much.
I am not a Floyd fan.
No, I could tell. Look, I don't like him that much either, but I try to be,
I think he's an outstanding fighter, all-time great fighter.
No, I don't think Hearns could beat him. I think I disagree with you about Hearns. Hearns is too one-dimensional, way too All Hearns had was, Hearns was way too one-dimensional. I think Floyd would have outfought him. And Floyd, let's not forget, Floyd's chin is very good. Besides the fact that he didn't get hit much, when he did, it was very good.
Mm-hmm.
Duran, maybe. Sugar Ray, maybe. Hearns, no.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. I've always thought that Floyd would lose to all three of them. But again, extremely skilled. So legitimate. I think Sugar Ray said he would have done Floyd just like he did his dad. He would have knocked him out.
Yeah,
of course, Sugar Ray's going to say that. So
Floyd fought Diego Corrales, who was not Hearns, but similar, hard puncher, very tall.
Mm-hmm.
And he just starched him.
He did. That's right. And Diego Corrales was knocking everybody out at that weight class before he fought Floyd. That's a great point.
Exactly. So, I think Floyd Hearns was great, but that's why Hearns is the guy who lost out of all the four kings. Hearns Hearns one who lost the most.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he got knocked out by all the kings.
Did he? I thought he knocked out Duran.
He did knock out Duran. Yeah, vicious too. Oof, that was brutal.
Yeah.
He knocked out Duran, but that was an old Duran.
That's true too. Yeah. Fair enough. All right. So let's come back to the present. Although I love the previous eras, but let's come back to the present. So here's a question for you. Like you can see in the thumbnail, I got some of the elite guys now. Your Terrence Crawford, Shakur Stevenson, obviously Canelo, Tank Davis, and I think the winner of this Bivol BvBvF fight probably should be in that list. But because those guys aren't really well known in America, they don't get their due. Monster Inoue is another one. Who do you think is the face of boxing right now, or who do you think should be?
Well, I hate that term.
Okay, tell me why you hate that term.
And the reason, it's a very subjective term. So for me to answer the question to you is, what's your criteria for the face of boxing? Because I bet you mine's different.
Okay, so when I think the face of boxing, I look at not necessarily the best, but one of the best current fighters. The guy who's a draw, the guy who probably is, the average boxing fan, myself, or someone who knows a little less about the sport can easily recognize and identify with the sport.
Exactly. So not one fighter fits all those.
Okay.
So you can't. For example, Jake Paul probably makes more money than everybody. Okay. So, but he's not the most skilled.
Right.
So you have to kind of, for me to answer, you got to maybe make it a little more specific because.
Okay. I'm always reticent to ask who's the best fighter fighting right now because it's so difficult across so many weight classes.
Okay. Well, my top 5 are, I don't know if I have Inoue or Bud first. Probably Bud.
I can see that.
Inoue, Tank, Benavidez, and Bam Rodriguez.
Bam Rodriguez. Okay, that's a good one.
I exclude Usyk and Canelo, even though there is an argument that they could be there. They're definitely 6 and 7.
Why do you exclude them?
One of my main criteria is dominance, and Canelo is lost twice.
It's true.
And who's the other one I excluded?
Usyk.
Usyk, yeah. Great, but you could argue that Fury just beat him. It was a close fight. So I go with the guys who have just wiped everybody out. Now Usyk, but Usyk, it depends how you look at it. He went up from cruiserweight. He beat these bigger guys, so there's an argument for it. I go with dominance is a big one for me for current pound for pound.
Okay. You mentioned Tank Davis, great fighter. I think before I really started watching him, I'm just like, okay, he's a knockout artist. But then I really started paying attention, and while he's a knockout artist, he's extremely skilled, really good. He's good, better than average hand speed, really good footwork. Looks like a technician in there. He does a quote unquote downloading when he's in there with guys, and that's why you always see between 6 to 8. That's when he puts them away. Really smart fighter. And then you watch his training and all that, and I'm like, okay, this guy's really, really good. So I'm going here to say, number one, how do you think that he can go up in another weight class? And what's he at, 140 right now? 140, right?
No, he's 35.
Is he 35?
Tank, yeah.
What did he fight Ryan Garcia at? 35?
They fought at 30, I think, but he's 35.
Okay.
And Shakur's at 35, and then the other guys are at 40.
Okay, so that's actually where I was going. So I would love to see Tank Davis and Shakur Stevenson. I like Shakur Stevenson a lot. He's a hit and don't get hit guy, not elite power, super skilled, great hand speed, movement, defense, all of that. But if they were to ever fight, I don't know if they can get the weights matched up properly, but if they were to fight, do you think, I guess my take is that Shakur doesn't have the power to keep Tank off long enough and eventually he'll get put down? What's your thought on that? Or do you think he can outbox him?
I got Tank over anybody at 35 and at 40.
Wow. Okay.
He hits too hard. He's too patient. He's too skilled. He has a good chin, by the way. Ryan Garcia and Rolly, who, say what you want about those two guys, Rolly, they could punch hard.
Yeah.
And Tank swallowed it like nothing.
Right. Okay, so you brought up Ryan Garcia. That's where I was going next, man. Right on the same page. When Ryan Garcia is right, how good is he?
I don't know, because we don't know if his last fight was his skill or was it the juice. I don't know.
Yeah.
And we do know that he's very one-dimensional. Left hook. He was getting in Tank's ass before Tank caught him, but Tank was also downloading.
Right. So people talk about all Ryan Garcia has is that left hook, and is it that's all that he has, or is that he's so in love with it because of the amount of success it's gotten him over his career? Because a guy with that type of hand speed and that type of skill, like, why would he get, put into that box of having just one weapon?
Because that's all he has. I bet you if you took one of those baseball things that measure how fast a pitch goes, and you measured the speed of both Ryan's punches, I bet you his left hook clocks in way faster. His right, matter of fact, he chops his overhand right. He throws it bad half the time.
Okay.
It really is the only outstanding, and I'll tell you this, that left hook is one of the fastest I've ever seen. Might be up there. The fastest one punch I've ever seen anybody throw. But the rest of it is good. Now, I'm not saying it's not. Maybe you know what I'm saying. So there's a big discrepancy. So yeah, he is one-dimensional.
Okay.
He's not the best boxer. He's a good fighter, but we have to see more. We don't know yet.
Yeah. So he's training with, I believe, Derek James now.
He's been with Derek for a while. I don't know if he's still with Derek, but
I thought I know he trained with him for this last one. I thought it was his last two, but so do we not think that a trainer who's that good can get the most out of Ryan, or is he just kind of one of those guys that reverts to the muscle memory?
I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. I don't think there's going to be much of a change in him. He's come this far. You don't teach old dogs new tricks.
Okay. All right. So we briefly touched earlier Bivol, Dmitry Bivol, Arthur BvBvF. I think that's on the 14th of October. I might be a little off on that, but
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's right around the next few weeks. So, what are your thoughts on that? Who do you think wins and why?
I think Bivol loses. I think BvBvF stops him. Why? Because he's done that 100% of the time.
Right. Yeah, BvBvF is an absolute monster.
I think Bivol is a little overrated.
Do you?
Yeah, who'd he beat? Canelo. Okay, cool. Canelo, was literally 2 weight classes out of his natural weight class. Okay. I need to see more. Like I like to gather I need a big sample size to print out my sheet. My sheet with my analysis sheet needs to be printed after I collect a large sample size, and one fight is not a large sample size.
Yeah, but it's tough when you're not in a particularly great division, though. You know what I mean? And so you look at Bivol, and I think he's very skilled. I didn't realize his hands were that fast till I went back and watched some more of his stuff. He's got really fast hands. He's good. He's got good knockout power. Again, I don't think he's gonna knock out BvBvF, but I think he's very good. That said, I think BvBvF wins the fight. So now we got at 175 because Canelo's made it clear he's not going to fight Benavidez. I'm not exactly sure why, but I don't want to slander the man. So
he said why. He said it clearly recently. He's too big. He said it. He goes, I'm naturally a 160 pounder, and this guy's coming in at 190. Funny enough, that's exactly what Berlanga came in at, but Berlanga doesn't have the skill that Benavidez has.
Okay. But he'll fight. All right, whatever. But he'll fight Bivol again.
I don't think he'll fight Bivol. I know he said that, but I want to see that. I don't think he'll fight him again.
Okay, so now let's say you said you got BvBvF beating Bivol. What do you think of Benavidez? We just talked about wanting the winner. I would like to see it. I don't think he's ready for that though. Not in that division.
He's ready. But
Benavidez,
yeah, he's ready. But will he win is a different story. But he's not going to get.
That's what I mean.
Well,
I wasn't that impressed when he moved up and fought Vosdick.
Well, by saying he's not ready, so you think you give him 2-3 more years, then he's peaking. He's peaking right now.
No, I mean maybe a couple more fights at 175 before he fights a monster like that.
Why? Like he spars. This guy's been sparring, and he knows what he's doing. Like at this point in their career, I don't think waiting is going to do anything. You know, when guys first start, build. Benavidez is a multi-time world champion. You know, no more marinating. Marinating won't do anything, I don't think, for him.
Okay.
You know, either he's naturally talented and big enough to bang out with these light heavyweights, or he's not. I guess we'll find out.
I guess we will. All right. So more kind of on the. Well, let me ask you this. So we kind of talked about the different things that could happen to make boxing better for everybody involved, for the fighters, for the fans, for the sport, etc. So this is kind of a question that I always think about. I think about this in all sports. What's more important in boxing, right? Well, no, let me go back. What 2 fighters do you think could make the best fight in boxing right now? Let's exclude Canelo and Benavidez. Besides them, what's the best fight you could make?
Tank and T.O. is one of the most exciting fights we could watch.
Teofimo?
Tank and T.O., yeah. Tank and Teofimo for sure.
Okay.
Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury.
That's the one I want to see. Yeah.
Inoue and Tank, if they could do a catch weight, or Inoue and Bam, they could do a catch weight.
I think somebody mentioned that to Inoue, the possibility of a Tank fight, and I think he said he wouldn't just because the weights aren't right.
Right.
So
yeah, I don't blame him. That'd be a big risk.
Yes.
And for Tank too, that'd be a risk for Tank. Cause it's like you're fighting a smaller guy, so you win. People say, you beat up a little guy. You lose, it looks even worse.
Yeah, you lost to a little guy. Yeah, it's tough. Okay. All right. So some good fights there. What's more important? the best fight or the most marketable fight?
One more important to who?
Everyone involved. The fighters, the sport, the fans. What's more important, the best fight or the most marketable?
Everybody has different. It's like, again, everything in boxing is subjective. Everything. The only thing that's not subjective, and even that can be, is a knockout.
Right.
That's the only thing. If you're not up, if you don't stand up before 10, if your feet, if you have to be on your feet. No part of your body can be touching the floor before 10. Right. That's the only thing that's not subjective. Everything else is in boxing is subjective. Scoring the fights. I like power. Well, I like bulk punches landed. I like aggressiveness. Well, I like boxing. I like defense. Scoring subjective. Who's the best fighter? Everything's subjective. So it depends on what person that you're asking. For me, the best fight is what's more important. I mean, I'm not profiting off it, so I want to see the best fight the best. If I was profiting off it, then I'd give you a different answer.
Okay. Got you. So you would say then you think that to most fighters, most marketable is more important than the better fight?
I don't know. Like, everybody's different. You got old school dudes who care about legacy, but look, everybody cares about money. That's the problem. And because boxing doesn't pay. It's not the NBA. You don't come in, get signed, and you're like, 30 million over 10 years, guaranteed. I could break my whole shit and I'll still get the money.
Right.
No. So they need to keep making money. That's why you got guys like Tio calling people monkeys and bananas and doing all this crazy shit. Because he, besides maybe that he's racist, but he's also just trying to like stir the pot, because the more people talk about you, the higher your paycheck is. That's why you got guys like Rolly. You got all these people just doing all this. Broner, Floyd started it, and he showed how successful you can be if you just get out there and stir the pot and cause ruckus.
No doubt. Okay, so before I let you get out of here, here's the last question I have for you. Who's a fighter that a lot of people might not know about, but you think that they should be watching?
Current?
Yes.
That they don't know about.
Yeah. I mean, because I think if you're not a boxing aficionado or a hardcore boxing lover, a lot of people, we know the big names, right? But who's somebody that you can say, man, this guy, he's special. Check him out.
That's the problem. I've been accused of being a hardcore casual. I have a certain radar, right? I don't really pay attention to the fights like on Pro Box, and I don't really watch those. So I don't really know. But I guess Abdullah Mason. That's somebody I've seen who I think has all the tools to be very talented.
He's lightweight, I think.
I don't know what he is. Something around that. 30, 35, 40, something like that.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Okay, Abdullah Mason. All right, there we go. All right, well, Marko, man, listen, great talking to you. Thanks for coming in and sharing your thoughts with us. So, question for you before you go, tell all the people where they can find you.
It's Marko Boxing on YouTube, Marko Boxing, through Marko 3_boxing on Instagram, Marko, I think it's 5_ whatever on TikTok.
Well, listen, thanks again for joining the show, man. Really appreciate it. It's good stuff. Good
talk, of course, anytime.
All right, man. Thanks so much.
Peace.